Good morning and welcome. Before you say a single word, before the first ache of this Wednesday has a chance to set the tone for everything that follows, I am so glad you paused here with me. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, and the morning is still young and unhurried. The day has not started asking things of you yet, so for now, let it wait. If you are able, I want you to take one slow breath with me. Not a rushed, anxious breath, but a long, easy one, the kind that lets your shoulders come down from where they have been hiding up near your ears. You do not have to be ready for anything in this moment. You only have to be here. I know that for some of you this morning did not arrive gently. Maybe you opened your eyes and there it was already, the pain, waiting at the door before your mind had even caught up. Maybe it is a dull ache low in your back, a tightness that grips your chest, or a tiredness so deep that sleep barely touched it. And maybe the hurt is not in your body at all, but in a quieter place no one can see. Whatever woke with you, I want you to know, it is welcome here. We so often believe that we have to clean ourselves up before we are allowed to come to God. We think we need to stop the bleeding first, dry the tears first, find the right words first, and only then can we approach Him. But that is not how it works. The truth is far kinder than that. He is not waiting at the end of your recovery. He is here at the very beginning of the wound. There is a reason we are doing this in the morning, before the day fully begins. Whatever reaches you first tends to shape everything that follows. If the first voice you hear is the pain, the day bends around the pain. If the first voice is the news on your phone, or the long list of what is undone, the day bends around the worry. But this morning we are choosing something different. We are letting God be the first voice, the first touch, the first presence we turn toward, so that everything else takes its place behind Him. So let me say something simple and true to whoever is listening. You do not have to face today's pain alone, and you do not have to face it first. Before the demands of this Wednesday reach for you, let the one who made you reach for you instead. There is a habit so many of us have learned without ever deciding to. The moment we feel the hurt, we cover it. We pull the blanket of busyness over it. We reach for distraction. We put on the brave and capable face the world expects, and we tell ourselves we will deal with it later. We become very skilled at carrying things while smiling. We answer, "I'm fine," so quickly and so smoothly that we almost believe it ourselves. But a covered wound is not a healed wound. I want to be tender about this because I have done the very same thing. I have walked into a room aching and acted as though nothing was wrong. I have prayed polite, tidy prayers when what was really inside me was raw and confused. I have offered God the version of myself I thought He wanted to see instead of the version that actually needed Him. And every single time I was hiding the one thing He most longed to touch. Think for a moment about a real wound, the kind on skin. If you wanted it to heal, you would not pile bandage upon bandage on top of it without ever cleaning it. You would not leave the dressing on for weeks untouched, hoping the problem underneath would simply disappear. No, you would gently uncover it. You would let air and light reach it. You would let careful, loving hands tend to what was hidden. It might sting for a moment. It might even hurt more before it hurt less. But that uncovering is the doorway to healing, and here is what we forget. The same is true for the heart. The places you have been protecting, the grief you have wrapped up and pushed to the back of a drawer, the fear you have learned to function around, the disappointment you stopped mentioning, because you were tired of hearing yourself say it. God is not afraid of any of it. He is not going to flinch. He has seen the whole of you already, every layer, and He loves you in the seeing. So you do not have to hold it together this morning. You are allowed to come apart a little in His presence. That is not weakness. That is the beginning of being made whole. Maybe your hurt this morning is physical, the joint that protests when you stand, the headache that has become an old, unwelcome companion, the exhaustion that has settled into your bones like weather. Maybe you are waiting on results you have not heard yet, and the waiting itself is its own kind of pain. Maybe your body has changed in ways you never agreed to, And some mornings you grieve the strength you used to take for granted. Or maybe the wound is harder to name. A loneliness that the daylight does not fix. A worry about someone you love that follows you from room to room. A regret you keep turning over, wishing you could go back. A sadness with no obvious cause that simply sits on your chest like fog. Some of you carry a hurt so old, you have almost forgotten a time before it. Whatever it is, you do not have to explain it perfectly. You do not have to organize it into neat categories or trace it back to its source. You only have to be willing to let it be seen. We have become a people remarkably good at the word fine. Someone asks how we are, and the answer is out of our mouths before we have even consulted our own hearts. I'm fine. We say it in the waiting room and at the dinner table and in the church foyer, smiling, nodding, moving on. And there is a kind of strength in that, a dignity even, but there is also a loneliness in it that few people ever name. When we tell everyone we are fine, we slowly start to believe we have to be, and then there is no one left to whom we can tell the truth. But you are not in the foyer right now. You are in the presence of the one who already knows. So you can set the word fine down this morning. Just for these few minutes, you do not have to be brave for God. You do not have to translate your pain into something more acceptable before you bring it. The rawness itself is welcome. The unfinished sentence, the prayer that trails off into silence, the tears that come before any words at all, He understands every one of them. Because the one we are coming to this morning does not heal the people who pretend. He heals the people who let Him close. Let me bring you to a single line of scripture. This Wednesday, one I want you to carry quietly through the day. In Psalm 147 verse 3, we are told that God heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Sit with that picture for a moment. Not a distant deity who issues commands from far away, but a healer who comes near enough to bandage. Hands that bind fingers gentle enough to wrap a wound without tearing it open further. This is the heart of God toward you today. Notice who the verse names. It does not say He heals only the strong or the deserving or the ones whose faith never wavers. It says He heals the brokenhearted. The brokenhearted are precisely the ones who feel least qualified to come. The ones who assume their cracked and weary state disqualifies them. And yet they are the very people this promise is written for. Your broken heart is not the reason to stay away. It is the reason you are exactly the one He is reaching toward. And consider the word binds. It is such a gentle, hands-on word. To bind a wound is slow, careful work. It is the work of someone kneeling close, someone patient, someone unbothered by the mess of it. It is not the work of a stranger barking instructions from across the room. God does not heal you from a distance. He comes near enough to wrap the wound Himself. In the very old story of His people, long before any of us drew breath, God gave Himself a name. He called Himself Jehovah Rapha, which means the Lord who heals you. He did not say the Lord who occasionally fixes things if you behave well enough. He tied healing to His very identity. To be near God is to be near the one whose nature it is to mend what is broken. Healing is not a favor. He reluctantly grants. It is who He is. But I have to be honest with you about something, because love is always honest. To bind a wound, you must first uncover it. There is no binding without the uncovering, and that is the part we resist, isn't it? We want the healing without the exposure. We want to be made whole without ever being seen at our most fragile. Yet, the gentle hands of God cannot bandage what we keep insisting is fine. So this morning, the invitation is not to perform strength. It is to allow yourself to be uncovered before the one who is safe. And I want to say something carefully here, something that matters deeply for the days when healing feels slow. There is a difference between being cured and being healed. A cure is when the pain leaves the body. Healing is something larger and deeper. Sometimes God cures and the ache simply lifts and we rejoice. But sometimes the body stays broken for a long season, and yet the soul grows stronger, steadier, and more anchored than it has ever been. That too is healing. That is the kind no scan can measure. Our ultimate hope is not that this Wednesday will be pain-free. Our hope is that we are held by a God who has promised that one day every wound will be bound up for good, every tear wiped away, every broken thing made new. The cross of Christ tells us that he did not stay distant from our suffering. He entered it, and because he rose, we know that pain does not get the last word. Healing does. So whether your healing today is a cure or a quiet inner strengthening, both come from the same hand. And both are real. Let us bring all of this to him now. Let us stop holding our wounds at a careful distance and let him come close. Heavenly Father, before the noise of this Wednesday rises, before the messages and the demands and the long list of what is expected of us, we come to you with the truth. We come not as people who have it together, but as people who are tired of pretending we do. We come exactly as we woke this morning, with the ache still here, the worries still here, the unhealed places still here. Lord, you are Jehovah Rapha, the one who heals, and so we stop covering what hurts. Right now in the quiet, we begin to uncover it before you. If you can, I invite you to place a hand gently over the part of you that carries the most pain this morning. It may be a place on your body. It may simply be your chest, where so much of the heart's ache seems to gather. Rest your hand there and let it be a small, honest sign that you are no longer hiding this from him. Father, you see beneath my hand. You see the wound I have been managing instead of mending. You know the exact ache I have learned to live around. I have carried it so long that I almost stopped noticing it was a burden. But you have noticed. You have always noticed. So I uncover it now. I let you see the thing I usually keep dressed and hidden. I am not asking you to be impressed by my strength. I am asking you to bind what is broken, Lord. I bring you my body first. You formed it. You know every cell and every nerve, every place that has grown weak and every place that still works faithfully. For the stiffness in the morning, for the fatigue that arrives uninvited, for the pain that has become so familiar, I forget how heavy it is. I ask for your touch. Not as a magician I am trying to summon, but as a father I am learning to trust. Whether you choose to lift this pain today or to carry me through it, I place my body in your hands. And when the healing does not come as quickly as I want, guard my heart from despair. Teach me the daily kind of grace, the kind that does not ask for next month's strength all at once, but only enough for this one Wednesday. I do not need to know how long this season lasts. I only need to know that you are walking through it with me. You knit this body together in the first place, every bone and breath of it, and you have not lost track of a single part now. The same care that formed me is the care that holds me on the mornings I can barely rise. So, I will not speak of my body as an enemy today, even when it disappoints me. It is fragile, yes, and it is wearing, but it is still your handiwork, and you are not finished with it. Whatever comes, whether strength returns to these limbs, or whether I must learn to lean harder on you, I trust the hands that made me. Father, I bring you the hidden wound now, the one beneath the physical one. You know the loneliness I do not mention. You know the grief I have folded up small and tucked away. You know the fear I function around so well, that even the people closest to me do not see it. I have kept these things covered because I was afraid that uncovering them would make them more real, or because I did not want to be a burden, or because I was simply too weary to find the words. But nothing in me is too much for you. Nothing in me will make you turn away, so I let you in. I let your gentle hands reach the places I have protected for years. Bind up what is broken in here, Lord. Not by forcing it open all at once, but in your tender, patient way, layer by layer as I can bear it. Where bitterness has crusted over an old hurt, soften it. Where fear has built a wall, take it down, stone by stone. Where I have grown numb just to survive, give me back the courage to feel and to hope again. Lord, I bring you my mind because the body in pain quickly drags the mind into the storm. You know how my thoughts race in the dark hours, rehearsing the worst, replaying the conversations, building futures that may never happen. You hear the anxious voice that says, "This will never get better." You see how exhausting it is to live inside a head that will not be still. So quiet me, Father, not by giving me every answer I crave, but by reminding me whose I am, When the spiral begins, interrupt it with your truth. When I cannot read long passages or pray on prayers, let one short verse anchor me. Let it be enough this Wednesday to simply whisper your name and know that you are near. And when my mind insists on rehearsing every frightening possibility, gently bring me back to what is actually true right now, in this moment, where you are present and I am held. So much of my suffering lives in a future that has not arrived and may never arrive. The mind borrows tomorrow's troubles and pays interest on them all night long. Teach me to live in the small, manageable square of this single day, where your mercy is sufficient and your presence is real. I do not have to solve my whole life before breakfast. I only have to take the next breath in your company. Father, I bring you my relationships, because pain rarely stays in one person, it spills. You see the people I love, and you see the tension that has grown because they cannot fully understand what I am carrying. You see the times my patience grew thin because the ache was too loud, the short words I wish I could take back, the distance I created because explaining felt like too much. Heal what my pain has frayed. Give me the humility to apologize when I have wounded others out of my own woundedness. Give me the grace to receive help without resentment, and to let the people who love me come close, instead of holding them at arm's length to protect my pride. Where my suffering has isolated me, gently lead me back into connection. And Father, I do not only bring my own wounds this morning. I bring the people I am carrying, the ones whose pain I would take into my own body if I could. You know the name that rises in my heart right now, the one who is hurting and cannot seem to find their way to relief. Maybe it is a child or grandchild whose struggle keeps me awake. Maybe it is a spouse whose health is slipping, or a friend battling something quietly that they rarely speak of. I cannot heal them. I have tried, and I have learned the painful limits of my own love. So I lift them into your hands, the same hands that bind the brokenhearted. Reach the places I cannot reach. Speak to them in the language of their own hearts, in ways my words never could. Where I have exhausted myself trying to be their rescuer, remind me that you love them even more than I do, and that you have never once taken your eyes off them. Let me release my desperate grip and trust that they are safer in your care than they ever were in my worry. And Lord, I bring you my fear of the future. You know the quiet dread that sometimes comes when I think about growing older, about my body weakening, about needing more help than I can give in return. You know the fear of becoming a burden, the fear of losing my independence, the fear of what the next report or the next year might hold. So I lay tomorrow down at your feet this morning. I do not have to carry it yet. You are already there, in next week and next month and next year, and you have already prepared the exact measure of grace I will need when I arrive. Teach me that true freedom was never found in independence anyway. It is found in depending on you. You have promised to carry me even to old age, even when my hair turns gray, and I am holding tightly to that promise this Wednesday. Father, redefine my sense of purpose, because pain has a way of whispering that I am useless now. The world measures worth by how much we produce, how fast we move, how much we can do. And when my body slows, or my health changes, or I cannot keep the pace I once kept, the lie comes quickly that I have nothing left to offer. But that is not your voice. Your voice tells me that my worth was never in my productivity. If this season forces me to sit still, then make my sitting a season of prayer. Let the chair where I rest become a place of intercession for the people I love. Teach me that the quiet, unseen work of praying for others is not less valuable than all the busy things I used to do. Show me that my weakness is exactly the canvas where your strength is most clearly seen. Some of the most important work in your kingdom has always been done by people the world considered finished. The ones who could no longer rush were the ones who finally had time to notice. The ones who could no longer fix everything learned at last to pray over everything. So if my pace has slowed, perhaps you are inviting me into a deeper kind of usefulness, one that is measured, not in tasks completed but in love poured out, in patience offered, in a steady presence that reminds my family what it looks like to trust you in hard times. let my life still preach, even from a resting place. And Father, I lift up the practical side of this healing journey too. I thank you for the doctors, the nurses, the caregivers, and the medicines that help me through. Give them wisdom and compassion. Guide their hands and their decisions. I will take the help you have provided with a grateful heart. But let my deepest hope never rest in a prescription bottle or a test result alone. Let it rest in you, the great physician, the one who holds my whole life and not just my symptoms. Help me to notice the small mercies today, the moments when the pain dulls just enough to breathe, the comfort of a warm drink, the kindness of a familiar voice, the simple gift of having woken at all. Let gratitude become my quiet rebellion against the ache. Let me refuse to let the hurt convince me there is nothing good left to see. Father, I bring you my spiritual weariness too, because that is the wound we are most ashamed to admit. When the body hurts for long enough, the spirit grows tired alongside it. There are mornings when opening the Bible feels like lifting something far too heavy. There are days when my prayers feel like words that rise no higher than the ceiling, for feet fall flat on the floor. The constant ache, the broken sleep, the endless small routines of managing a fragile body, they can quietly drain the joy out of my faith if I am not careful. So I am not asking you for a sudden flood of spiritual energy this morning. I am only asking you to keep my small flame from going out. When I cannot read a whole chapter, let one single verse hold me. When I do not have the strength to pray out loud, receive my quiet sighs as worship. Let my honest wordless leaning toward you in the dark be counted as prayer, because I believe that it is. And guard me, Lord, from the bitterness that suffering can plant when I am not watching. You know how easily my heart can curdle when I see others moving freely, untroubled by the things that weigh on me. You know the strange ache of hearing that someone else received the very healing I have been begging you for, and the guilt that follows when envy rises where joy should be. I do not want to become someone who keeps a quiet ledger of fairness, who measures your love for me by the comfort of my circumstances. So protect my heart from that slow poison. Teach me to rejoice with those who rejoice, even while I am still waiting in my own valley. Remind me that your love for me has never been measured by the health of my body, and that another person's healing does not mean you have forgotten mine. There is enough of your grace for them and for me. Your mercy is not a scarce thing that runs out before it reaches me. Father, I confess my desperate desire for a quick fix, and I lay it down before you, honestly. You know how many mornings I have woken up hoping that today would finally be the day the pain simply vanished. You know how I have bargained, how I have grown impatient, how I have quietly questioned your timing when the relief did not come on my schedule. I am tired of hurting, and I will not pretend otherwise in your presence. But today I ask for the harder grace, the grace to trust your timeline even when it makes no sense to me. I do not understand why some healing comes swiftly, and some comes slowly, and some seems to wait for the other side of eternity. I cannot see the whole picture the way you can. So I choose with trembling hands to believe that you are good even in the waiting, and that a delayed answer is never a forgotten one. You are not absent in the slowness, you are at work in it, shaping something in me that the quick fix never could. Lord, I also lift up the very hours of this Wednesday, because I know how the day unfolds when the body is struggling. The morning brings its own stiffness and effort, but as the hours pass, the fatigue so often multiplies, and by the afternoon I can feel as though I have nothing left. So be my strength in those later hours, not only in this gentle morning moment. When the energy drains away and the ache rises, remind me that it is allowed to pause. Free me from the relentless pressure to always be doing something, to justify my existence with activity. If all I can manage this afternoon is to sit quietly in your presence, let me do it without a shred of guilt. Teach me that rest is not a failure of faith, but an honest acknowledgement of how you have made me. You yourself rested. You built rhythms of stopping into the very fabric of creation. So when I lie down to rest today, let me do it as worship, not as surrender to defeat. And Father, I bring you every conversation and interaction that lies ahead of me today. You know that when my body is uncomfortable, my patience is often the first thing to go. Catch my sharp words before they leave my mouth. When the pain makes me irritable, give me the humility to notice it quickly and to soften, to apologize, to begin again instead of letting frustration harden into distance between me and the people I love. Let everyone who crosses my path today encounter something of your gentleness through me, even on a day when I am hurting. I do not want my pain to be the loudest thing about me. I want my quiet trust in you to be the thing people remember. Let my endurance be a kind of sermon that needs no words, a steady witness that joy and peace do not depend on a healthy body, but on a faithful God. And finally, Lord, I bring you the work of forgiveness, because a long season of pain leaves a residue that needs to be washed away. Forgive me for the moments when my suffering made me bitter instead of tender, when I let frustration spill onto people who did not deserve it, when I judged others for moving easily through a world that has grown hard for me. Cleanse those hidden places in my heart, and give me the grace, Lord, to forgive myself. Sometimes the hardest person to show mercy to is the one looking back at me in the mirror. I replay the days I was short-tempered, the times I pushed people away rather than let them see me weak, the ways I failed to be who I wanted to be when the pain was too heavy. Break the cycle of self-condemnation in me. Remind me that your grace covers yesterday's failures just as fully as it covers the deepest things in my past. Let me receive your forgiveness so completely that I can finally breathe again. Now, as we move toward the close of this prayer, I want to give you something to hold, something to carry like a small steady light into the hours ahead. With your hand still resting over the place that hurts, I invite you to whisper a few simple declarations with me. You do not have to feel strong to say them. You only have to be willing. Say with me quietly. I do not have to hide my wound from God today. Say, I am uncovering what hurts and I am letting Him bind it. My worth is not in my strength, but in being loved by Him. Whether I am cured today or carried today, I am held by the one who heals. Let those words settle into you slowly. You may not believe them with your whole heart yet, and that is all right. Speaking them is itself an act of faith, a way of turning your face toward the light, even before the warmth arrives. The feeling often follows the choice. Keep choosing. These are not magic words, and saying them will not necessarily make the pain vanish before you finish the sentence. That is not what faith is. Faith is not a lever we pull to force God's hand. Faith is the quiet decision to keep trusting the one who has proven himself faithful, even while we are still waiting on the part of the story we cannot yet see. So say the declarations not to change your circumstances by magic, but to change the direction your heart is facing. Turn it toward Him again and again, all day long. And if the old habit of covering up creeps back in as the day goes on, as it surely will, do not be discouraged with yourself. Simply come back. Place your hand over your heart again, even for a second in the middle of an ordinary task, and quietly let Him near again. Healing is not one grand moment. It is 1,000 small returnings to the one who is always glad to receive you. Father, seal these words in our hearts. Let them be more than sounds we made in the quiet. Let them become the truth we walk in. For everyone who placed a hand over a hurting place this morning, I ask that you would meet them there with unmistakable tenderness. Bind their wounds, Lord. Hold the brokenhearted, and let the gentleness of your touch be the first thing they remember when the pain tries to speak louder later today. To the dear soul listening to my voice, right now, before you rise, before you test that aching joint or square your shoulders to face this Wednesday, I want you to hear this clearly. You are deeply loved. Your wound is not a nuisance to God. Your tears are not invisible. The very things you have learned to hide are the things He most longs to hold. You were never meant to be your own healer. You were never meant to bandage yourself in silence and hope for the best. There is one who binds up the broken, and He is already drawn near to you this morning, closer than the breath in your lungs. So go gently into this day. When the pain flees, do not rush to cover it, Uncover it again before him, even for a moment, and let him be near. When the worries return, hand them back. When you feel weak, remember that his strength is made perfect precisely there, in the weakness you were so afraid of. Do not measure this Wednesday by whether the pain disappears. Measure it by whether you walk through it, accompanied. A good day is not always a painless day. Sometimes a good day is simply one where you let God stay close, where you spoke a kind word to someone, where you chose to trust him one more time, even when nothing felt resolved. That is a day well lived, ache and all. If this quiet time brought even a small measure of comfort to your heart today, I would love for you to stay connected with us. You are welcome to subscribe so we can keep meeting here in these early sacred minutes, morning by morning. And if you feel moved to leave a simple comment below. Something like, Lord, I am uncovering my wound, bind it gently. Let those words be a quiet declaration of faith and a comfort to someone else who reads them and realizes they are not the only one carrying something heavy. And if you know a friend, a family member, or a neighbor who is silently hurting this week, whether in body or in heart, consider sharing this prayer with them. Not to fix them and not to preach at them, but simply to remind them gently that they do not have to suffer alone and that the God who heals is near to them too. May Jehovah Rapha, the Lord who heals, draw close to every tender place in you today. May his hands bind what has been broken for so long. May you discover that you can lay down the heavy work of pretending and find rest in being fully known and fully loved. And whether your healing today comes as a sudden lifting of the pain or as a quiet, deepening strength to carry it, may you know with certainty that it comes from him and that he is good. Through Jesus Christ, our healer, our mediator, and our faithful companion, through every wound I pray all of these things. Amen.